Wrap it up, nerd. Alright, I don't know what this is called, and I don't care. 2, 3, 4.
Gone quiet again.
Yes, welcome to the very chilled out Star Trek chilled out show that we've started every Sunday, but well, not every Sunday, every occasional Saturday or Sunday, just for a bit of fun for us to relax and talk about Star Trek. I am Captain Idle, as you well know, joined by the very own Big McLarchuge here, who is whiskeyed up as normal, and joining us, Mr. Walt Koenig, not the Walt Koenig you all know, but the one we all know. Oh, it's Frag, you don't like Star Trek. Oh, well, never mind. Cranky's going to be joining us in a minute as well. Sadly, Auto and Stars could not be with us this week, but we wish them well. And guys, how has your week been? This is chilled out. Let's relax and chill out, because this is our time. Big,
yes.
What is the whiskey of the week?
Oh, well, okay. So, yeah, we can start with that. It is the Ardbeg Wee Beastie. Which, yeah, this was a Christmas present that I am really quite enjoying. So,
have you bought a whiskey for yourself ever, or are they all presents?
No, well, okay. So, in effect, yes, I buy most of them with the money that is made by me for the household, and then my wife will just go off and buy stuff with it.
Very nice.
So, yes, but no, I do end up with, maybe 2 or 3 bottles of stuff through, various holidays. But I do want, I think it needs to be said, it's like, nothing says chilled out like blazing punk rock.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just to get the whole thing started.
I can't remember what it was I was listening to. I think I was listening to it was the Nevermind the Buzzcocks theme song. If you've never heard that, I was just listening to that thinking, like, that would make a really good show intro, and I thought, well, we don't really have any other shows other than Timelines Talks, so like, fuck, I'll do it for the chilled out one. But we've been saying we need to rename it anyway. I put a post up on our Discord about, like, guys, we need some rename ideas, and there's some good ideas, so it might get renamed in the future. We'll see. Maybe it'll be something more appropriate, but chilled out seems to be working since we are here just talking about Trek.
Well, yeah, and that was the other thing. It's like this is an awful lot of production for our kind of sometimes show that we kind of do that has absolutely no plan or no notes whatsoever. Yeah, like actually, since we're just talking, we have a running document that is our show notes.
Oh yeah,
it's made the name has come up before. I think it's show notes. Parentheses, it's actually the one is the name of the document, and it's actually usually pretty meticulously laid out. Like, this is all the things that we want to talk about. On a good week, might get through 75% of it before we hit
by the 3-hour
2-hour mark of the show. Yeah, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna save all the rest of this for next week. But for this show,
we have nothing.
There's nothing. There's absolutely there's no notes. There's no plan.
No.
We have no idea what we're going to talk about. We're just here, and I'll drink to that.
Speaking of no plan, Walt, how did you feel about 5 minutes ago when I said, "Do you want to come on the show?"
Yeah, it sort of sprung on me a little bit late. Those of you in the UK, maybe in a similar situation to me, Sunday evening, just sort of before work on a Monday. Wife's watching Call the Midwife.
Oh, that's what my wife's doing, actually.
Oh yeah, Timeline Talks. Oh yeah, I've forgotten they were streaming. Oh, I chilled out, and then like 2 seconds later, are you on? Oh god, yeah, okay. So she gave me the look. She gave me the look. I think we all had the look from our wives, like, off you go, then go and play with your little friends. And yeah.
Fantastic.
So you're stuck with me, guys.
We're not stuck with you. No, we're never stuck with you if you're invited.
Well, and on that note,
everyone else.
Oh, go ahead. We got plenty
everyone
of
else
time.
is stuck with me. The people, the viewers here that come to see stars on auto, and they've got me instead. So
You're one of our honoured guests. You've been on before. It's fine. Everyone loved you. Cranky will be on it a bit as well. Hopefully, he said he's getting his stuff sorted out. But how was your week? Look, I've just had a wonderful week off, and I do have to apologise to everyone as well because I was planning a Timelines Talks this week. My wife came round and went, I've got 3 days off, and I've booked us a spa, and I was like, oh, okay, guess I'm not then. I was like, fine. So this is like the next best thing you can get to our show that we won't be having on Wednesday. I need to encourage one of you guys to start the stream up as well. Start doing it that, so. Okay, we've got a question. Can you please ask your guests, what is your favourite Star Trek ship, and why is it the whale probe?
This is actually not a question that I've given any amount of
really
serious thought. Yeah, well, because I know that people have their ships of the line calendars and their technical manuals, so they go through all the fine details of all the ships and stuff. But I don't know. It's just like I've always been drawn to the people and the philosophies and the moral dilemmas, that kind of stuff. It's like the tech stuff is there. It's cool. But it's never been something that's been a primary driver for me. I mean, obviously the Enterprise D is going to have an outsized part of my heart, as it's the show of my youth, and it was my entry into Star Trek proper. So I mean, like the Defiance, cool. Little. But yeah, there's going to be better people to answer that question than me. So somehow I managed to get about a minute of talk about it. So
a minute of talk. I don't know
anybody else.
A couple of Enterprise refits in the chat, and I'd say that's a good show. That's probably like I have thought about this question quite a lot. Like what is my favorite one? What would I have like adorned across my wall, or like in the little the little models that I've got? Like what would I have? And it just turns out that it's all of them, unfortunately. But I'm a sucker for the classic Excelsior variant from the one we all know from Search for Spock, and from the early USS Hood and all that. I'm kind of a sucker for that design. That's quite nice. What about you, Walt? What would be your go-to Star Trek class of ship? It doesn't even have to be Federation. You could say, oh, I've got a bit of a thing for the BRL, Bird of Prey.
Yeah. I've got a bit of a thing for like all the Romulan ships.
Interesting.
I like the Derek, the Derek's Warbird. When that first came in the Next Generation, it's like, whoa, holy moly, this is some ship. Obviously it's massive. And I like the Valdor.
Oh, the Valdor's
and
good.
even looking back, the old classic Bird of Prey, and even the fact that the new Bird of Prey that we all know and love, most of us love, was originally meant to be a Romulan ship. They wrote the script for Star Trek 3, wasn't it? It was going to be a Romulans that they were going to bring in, and then they changed it to Klingons. I don't think they did any redesign on the ship, because that's why it's a Bird of Prey.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So all those ships, if I'm right or wrong, somebody in chat tell me this if I've got this completely wrong. But yeah, so all them Romulan ships I love. From the Federation, again, Enterprise A, not necessarily the refit, but the Enterprise A I kind of like, and obviously, we'll all a spot in our heart for the D, don't we? So
I'm kind of lukewarm on the D. I don't know why. Like it's an iconic ship. I've never kind of like thought of it as one of my favourites. I'm more of like people say, it feels too much like a cruise liner. It's very, and I think it's like the interior matches the exterior. I love the Next Generation, one of my favourite series, but the D has never been my favourite ship.
Well, I will say that there is something to be said for the Enterprise C also, in that it's kind of that middle ground between an Excelsior and a Galaxy class. It's like it's got components of both of those things. I find kind of interesting. So
Man,
small
Doug
small
Drexler
book
was
too.
like the people that designed the Starships. Like, if you've ever seen the work they put into them, like the big scale models and the design work. I used to have a book somewhere. I don't know what happened to it. It was one of the design documents for Star Trek First Contact, and it went through all the sort of like the sketches and the different designs they had for the Enterprise E, and it was absolutely fascinating. It's really like the amount of work that gets put in is brilliant, and like I love how a lot of that crew are now working on the ships today, like the Discovery and some of the sort of more modern reimagining of ships is sort of led by that same team who are sort of taking the same philosophy and evolving it forward. It's been quite cool to see as well.
Yeah, and then like also stuff like updating the original Romulan bird of prey for Star Trek Picard.
Oh, I've got that here actually. I've got that right in front of me. Come on, here we go. Look at that. There you go.
Yeah.
Even with the bird of prey on the bottom, which I didn't actually know until I got the model. I didn't realise it still had the classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tasty model.
That's cool.
And now I've got to try and put it on his stand again, which is always a nightmare with Eagle Moss stuff. Just don't fall off, don't fall off. Oh, it fell off. Fuck. Never mind. It'll stay there.
One try, that's all you get.
There's one try. Chat, weigh in. What is your favourite Starship design? Since Frag has woefully opened the doors on this subject for us. Go on. Okay, let's go with, since we started this last week, what is least favourite? Least favourite design of, and I'm going to add a crinkle to this. What's your least favourite Federation design? And it can't be the Jaeger, because that is everyone's least favourite. That's cheating.
I mean, what's the easy answer is that what is it? The Enterprise J from Enterprise.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Because that's a preposterous ship that makes no sense whatsoever.
It's from the future.
Yes, it's made of future. But yeah, no. So that's an easy choice for me. Let me think about it some more, but that's just the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention sub triggers should still be on as well. So if anyone wants to spam this chat, why not? Go for it. Go on, Walt. What's your least?
Please save us from ourselves.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of a least favorite Federation ship. You know, which because every one of them I kind of got. I can see something I like about it. I mean, maybe dare I say. Discovery?
Roy Kirk
I like the concept
with the detached nacelles. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I like the concept, and obviously I like the series, but just the actual, I don't know, maybe just something about the ship itself doesn't. It just seems a bit.
I've definitely warmed up to it because I remember the first teaser they launched, sort of back in 2016, 17, and they basically the whole teaser was just the Discovery launching, and it looked hideous. I think it was like before they rendered the ship properly, and it looked. I was just looking at going, oh gosh, they've taken that design. Like it was used to be the old. What was it? The Probert design from the Phase 2 of Star Trek when they were going to completely redesign the Enterprise. And they were going to sort of make it that triangular shape. And there's concept art out there. Go have a look if you've not seen it. That is pretty much identical to Discovery. And part of me was just like, I'm glad they've taken that idea. But I was like, no, this looks horrible here. But that being said, I actually really love the look of Discovery sort of as it's grown on me as I've watched the series, definitely. I know, Big, you're not a huge Discovery fan as it is, but I...
Yeah, I was just seeing a comment in chat. Seeing a comment in chat about the Excelsior from Damar. It's like...
Interesting.
See that episode... what's the name of the episode where... Homefront, is it? Whatever it's called.
Oh,
where
the Lakota.
Cisco goes back and they've got... the Lakota, and when he goes, when the Defiant sort of flies over the top, and the nacelles just look like they're just like
that's
welded on a bit of cardboard or something like that. It's like,
well, there's a story behind that.
That's Excelsior class, isn't it?
Because they wanted to use the Excelsior for the Enterprise B, and back in the Next Generation, when you look at the wall where all the ships are, the Enterprise B is an Excelsior class starship. But when they went to film Generations,
well, yeah, because the one, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the model was damaged. And the only way they could fix it was bolting on these extra bits. So come Star Trek Generations, they'd made the Excelsior refit. So that's the story behind there. I quite like it. I quite like the sort of... I don't mind the chunky nacelles. I think it gives it a bit of girth. But I do prefer the classic Excelsior, I would say. All your starships need a bit of girth. Come on.
I mean, can't beat a bit of girth, yeah.
I'm just looking through.
Red alarm! Red alarm! Red alarm!
Thank you, Mato Kegoibana, for joining. For following. Thank you very much.
Let's see. Nebula class. That looks pretty stupid.
Yeah.
That
is kind of like a bad Galaxy kit bash, isn't it? It's just like they took the Galaxy and went...
Yes. Yeah. It's like just take the dish off and, just like shuffle bits around. And it's like you've got all the same number of Legos, but you've just got to move them around to different places. And so, yeah, I'd say that looks pretty dumb.
I'm gonna go
because there's a specific class of ship.
Sorry, no, go on.
No, please go ahead.
And now you talk. No. One I always find ugly, but other people don't. Which you'll have to try and explain this to me. But what is with the Oberth class? I don't like that. Like I don't know if I'm just a bit of a stuck in the mud for my Federation Starship designs. They have to have a saucer, a neck, and the cells, and the Oberth was a bit like.
Oh, that's the globe one. The Pasteur. Was that Oberth class or is that
no? The Oberth was the Grissom in Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
And
that was the one I was trying to think of. Yes. And yeah, I dislike that one. That was the class I was
everybody.
Because... Hi.
How we
Okay,
doing?
Cranky. Very quickly.
I've missed everything so far.
Yeah. No, the only conversation you missed is what are you drinking?
Well, I'm just pouring it now. I'm drinking a Kingslayer,
Oh.
double IPA.
Oh, Buxton. Buxton's not bad, yeah. A double IPA.
Very
You're not
nice
going for the
stuff.
triple today, are you?
No, just a double this evening. I've already had one though. So I'm a little bit loose already.
Hey, perfect. Okay, next question. You're on the spot. Since you're late, you're on the spot.
Go for
What
it.
is your favourite class of Starship?
Ooh. I always like the Romulan Warbird.
See, Walt, you've got a friend.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's the sort of the hollow design or what, but I've always quite liked the Warbird.
Something in the black hole drive that just catches your eye.
And have good taste there, Cranky.
Ah,
Yeah.
in good company with Walt.
There you are. Okay, how about least favourite Federation Starship? And you cannot say Jaeger, because that's everyone. No one likes it. Find me someone in chat. If you like the Jaeger class Starship, speak up and I will ban you.
What was I can't remember the name of it. What was the medical ship with the big ball at the front?
Oh, you were just talking about that big. The Pasteur.
Yeah.
Pasteur,
All
yeah.
the things, yeah.
Always thought that looked weird.
Really interesting. I quite like that. I don't think that's bad, because that's kind of like an evolution of the Daedalus class. You remember the old sort of TOS one that was essentially the big ball with the neck and the thing, but was never shown on
Looked like
screen.
a big boat.
Yeah. It wasn't shown on screen until Lower Decks recently. Like, it's crazy that ship has been in Star Trek canon for so long, yet it's not appeared on screen until literally 2021.
Yeah.
Absolutely
In
right.
an animated show. But no, you were right. Oberth class was the one I was looking for because I couldn't think of the name of it. But yes, that's so stupid looking. I'm
It's
sorry.
weird, isn't it?
It's like where you're just kind of carrying the saucer section along with the rest of the ship. Essentially, it's like
class
it just.
that looks very much like the Oberth class. It was in an episode of DS9. Like, I think it's the open episode of season 6 or something like that, and it's towing another starship, and it looks really weird. I'm just trying to find the class of it. Oh, no,
Has it got like a disc-shaped front end? It's like
Yeah.
the Pasteur, but with a disc-shaped front end.
Kind of, yeah. It's really strange looking, but it's like
I think
one of
I know
the
the
ones
one
you
you
look on
mean.
the screen and go, "What is that? Who designed that?"
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. Chat, speak up if you know it. Here we go. Thomas
I
Moreau.
quite like
thank you,
the
Carlo.
Miranda and
Oh, sorry.
Sawyer's class as well.
What was that? Sorry.
Quite like the Miranda and Sawyer's classes.
Oh yeah.
I know they're kind of sort of
Oh, Miranda's iconic. Like you look at Wrath of
you can-
Khan, like that
getting
is.
squished in a bit, but
So that's an interesting point that I would like to take a second on. It's like, would people like the Miranda class as much if it wasn't involved in one of the most iconic ship battles in Star Trek history? Would it not? Would it be more of a ship design that they didn't like and turned upside down and said that's the ship?
I thought that's what
Which
they
is
did with
what it originally was.
Originally with the NX-01 with Enterprise ship. I thought, oh, they've just taken the Akira class and just turned it upside down. This is rubbish.
Yeah.
I always found
Because on
those
its own-
like the Miranda class and the newer versions as well. I can't remember I'm terrible at remembering the names of them. They're always they're like a normal starship but squat, sort of real squashed up.
Yeah, it's just been
I always thought they looked a little bit strange. Yeah.
Someone's taking a starship under that. Can they crush it? Like, yes, they can.
Yeah.
Right.
The hydraulic press.
Yes, that's the one. That's what I was trying to think.
YouTube videos, Starship Edition.
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee someone's done it. There is someone out there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Fourth favourite ship, Roy Kirk. So, Roy Kirk, you're a very traditionalist. I know you're an avid sort of not a fan of disco, but yeah, definitely the expert when it comes to that motion picture to undiscovered country era of Starfleet design, which I quite like. I quite like that kind of almost sort of pseudo-imperialistic kind of, the very sort of militaristic, the uniforms and even the starship design has a very good theme to it. I quite like that.
And I can also appreciate that someone knows their ranks well enough to know what their fourth favorite ship is, just off the cuff.
Yeah, Roy, we need to know what 1, 2, and 3 are now, really. You've got
And then there's me sat here who can't even remember the name of my favourite ship.
Yeah. So that's the kind of commitment that I can really appreciate.
Yeah, these are the kind of guests we have tonight. Absolutely fantastic, Dan.
Great fan.
All right. In
No,
news-
thanks for both of you for
Yes.
coming on.
Very
I was just going, thanks for coming on at the very, very last minute.
Literally 2 minutes to go, Idle messaged me and said, "Do you want to come on?" Yeah.
It would have been me and Big.
Well, we
which
threw
would have
this
been fine,
together.
but we would have just been talking about drink the entire time. Drink and kitchen appliances, I think, was what we were talking about pre-show, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I was thinking that was the thing. It's like, yeah, you missed Cranky. Walt got here in time to see me finishing up doing my dishes in the kitchen before we started the show, because that's what we were doing while we were just talking pre-show shit. And so this is the kind of stuff that, the really exciting behind-the-scenes content is me scrubbing
the
bowls with a
pre-production.
sponge.
Just checking of notes,
It's
making
like
sure
a
everyone's
tight
on
ship and
set.
around here.
I spent
bell's
10
ringing
minutes
somewhere.
setting up
5
my
minutes,
laptop and getting
5
everything
minutes.
ready.
Right.
No, it's like I literally told Idle, it's like, okay, let me know when you're going to go live in like the next minute so I can get out of here and go back to where I normally record the show from. So
It's your 2-minute warning.
here we are.
Your closet, by the looks of things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always my closet.
Cranky, I think you did this
And-
last time, but you've got to give us another show. Who have you got on the shelf behind you?
I've got all sorts on there behind me.
You've got an actual Klingon
There's-
cadre as well. That's fascinating.
Next Generation at the top. Deep Space Nine, Klingons and Borg. The Wrath of Khan. Original series, Mirror original series. And then at the very bottom, which you can't see, I've got Enterprise and then just a load of Eagle Moss
Oh,
shit.
wow.
And then I've got the other thing you can't see is all around me. I've got boxes full of all sorts. I've got my First Contact box phaser,
Oh,
never been
wow.
out the box.
Specifically First Contact as well.
Yeah, I've got the Borg sphere, never been out the box. Well, to be fair, it has been out the box to have the batteries taken out. Yeah, I've got loads. I've got Eagle Moss ships all sat around around me.
Nice. Yeah, I had that when I moved.
got-
I had just to put all my Eagle Moss ships back in their boxes, and it was just like covered. Oh, that's a nice one. Is that the mirror
Got
one?
the there's the mirror one, the ISS. Yeah,
Very nice.
I've got all sorts. I've got tricorder,
Man, slightly jealous.
various stuff.
I've had years of not like having my own space or anything like that, so I had to keep all my like Star Trek stuff relegated to like one desk. And now I've got my basement. I'm just like, I need to buy more. Now I filled up with everything else.
I could easily fill your basement. I've got all
Hey.
boxes under my bed and
Careful
everything.
now. You have to buy me dinner first.
Oh, we have a request to move your camera around. Show us it all.
yeah.
Oh, really? I can only show this part because the rest of the room is a complete mess.
Oh, okay. No, we won't embarrass you.
Let's see what I can do.
Nah.
If we go, you can see.
Oh,
Shuttlecraft up there.
Shuttlecraft.
We got.
Nice.
Oh, it's all backwards. I've got an original series communicator, a little phaser, another phaser at the back. I've got the.
Red alarm!
Oh.
Red alarm!
Thank you,
Red
Boris ABC,
alarm!
for following. What
Got
is
the
this
Enterprise E
stream?
there.
This is just us talking Star Trek.
Yeah.
All sorts of random stuff.
Yeah. What is the stream? This is us talking Star Trek, and then on Wednesdays we talk Star Trek timelines and other stuff, and then we do other stuff as well, Star Trek Adventures, all sorts of stuff. We're very random.
Usually these are more structured. This is the
this is
An
our
armless
news one.
data.
This is TNG the
nice.
best. Oh wow!
Broken.
You took it out of the box.
Yeah, I took all of them out of the box.
They come prepackaged.
It's only got one block arm left.
Okay. A bit of news that hit us this week, because I thought we could do some news. Why not? I'll promise we're not structured, but this just came to me. It's recently been announced that J.J. Abrams is taking over and starting to produce, and I know we've heard this loads of times before, actually a fourth film in the Kelvin Universe series. This actually came out. They said, yes, we're going ahead with it. We're not doing Tarantino's version. We're not doing Noah Hawley's version. We are going to go ahead. Chris Pine is attached, as well as Zachary Quinto and Zoe Saldana. All the rest of them, albeit sans Anton... what was his name? Yelchin? Yes.
Yelchin.
Sadly, R.I.P.
Yeah.
But yes, how do you feel about a fourth film in the Kelvinverse series?
I'm happy enough about it.
I'm ambivalent.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
I wonder if too much time has passed.
I was wondering. Because I'm very sorry to say this, but Star Trek 2009 was 13 years ago. Or nearly 13 years ago.
No. We don't talk about that now.
I was in university, and I still feel like that was only like 3 years ago. But that was 13 years ago, which is crazy to me. I hate time. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, and that can work in both directions, because I mean, one of the things, like, you know, that makes Wrath of Khan what it is it's a meditation on time passing and people getting older and not being the same people that they were, you know, when they were in the prime of their lives. So I mean, you can use that artistically. So I mean, I'm not writing it off from the beginning. I mean, I guess we've dropped the thread of bringing back Chris Hemsworth and George Kirk.
Yeah, that's been abandoned. That was sort of like the rumor for the fourth film for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Was that sort of prequel?
No, I think there was going to be some time travel involved, but...
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's all I've heard.
Yeah. Timey-wimey shenanigans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, I think that the principal cast had kind of grown into their own more realized takes of those characters by the third film. So I would like to see where that goes. I don't know what you do about Chekhov at this point. If you just kill him off as a character.
They just say, oh, he's off serving on the Reliant. He's first officer on the Reliant. And that's a nice way to say, like, yeah, there he is.
Been recruited by Section 31.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all going to depend on the story. Like most things, it's all in the execution. If you do it well, then you know it doesn't really matter how it got there. It's still going to be a quality product. There was a lot of talk, and I tend to agree that, you know, Star Trek's ultimate home is as a television series, and something where you have more time, more episodes to grow and unfold across than can really be done in a 2 hour or even a 2.5 hour movie. You know, and there obviously have been some bright spots, and we've talked about it before about, you know, good and even great Star Trek movies, but the odds are that it's not going to be some irreplaceable essential piece of Trek. So I'm guarded about it, and I'll be watching it, I'm sure, but I have concerns, and I'm not holding it. And you know, this could be just another in a long line of them saying, all right, it's finally happening now. Because I mean, how many times has it been like confirmed they're coming back? It's been at least 3 times since Star Trek Beyond that I know off the top of my head.
Red alarm!
Thank you, Stuart Jackkinson, for following.
My goodness, how are we getting all these people following on this random episode?
There you go. The Walt and Cranky effect. They bring on the viewers. I had this with when I was streaming Star Trek Online the other day. A load of people just come in and it's like, oh, you're playing Star Trek Online. Subscribe. I was like, yes. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
You need to do some change in there.
Someone's changed glasses. Shit, where am I on the pair?
Yeah, I've changed mine, but I've only got sunglasses and
hey, it never stopped me.
Yeah, I thought about it, and if I hadn't been throwing this together at the very end, I could have brought like all of my kids' sunglasses and just random stuff, and just really taken the piss out of this whole thing. But some other time. So yeah, what do you guys think about the Kelvin stuff and this news?
I'll let Walt go.
Okay. Oh, I was going to let you go. I'm a bit like Idle, really. It's been 13 years since the first one, and it didn't feel like it. I mean, for me, that was 2 children ago.
Yes.
And while I think a lot of us were sort of mixed views on everything they did. Not all it's been bad. Again, the Enterprise that they've done is done a pretty good spiffing, imagination of that one. So very much from the ship side of things. I'm kind of thinking, it's been a bit too long now. They took too long. If they were going to do another one, they should have, just
Beyond was
right into
2016,
it.
so that was 8 years. It's been 8 years. More likely going to be 9, 10 before the next one. No. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know people that are sort of quite Into Darkness tends to get a lot of bad press. Not too many people are big fans of it.
Justifiably so.
But
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, I didn't really too much out of Beyond either.
I liked Beyond. I thought that was.
I like Beyond.
Yeah,
I think that's the best of the 3.
My favourite part of Beyond, and it's all I say on it, but like my favourite part of Beyond just purely was just for the start of it, where you get a tired Kirk questioning, and it reminded me very much of the start of the Wrath of Khan, and it was very much he's wondering why he still be captain, and he's searching for that reason to still go on. Obviously, there's other things wrong with that film as well, but I quite like that very humanising and evolved version of the Chris Pine Kirk. I quite enjoyed that. Sorry, carry on.
Isn't he meant to be like 5 years out of blooming academy or whatever? He's not like he's 45-year-old.
That was the bit
been
of
doing
09
it for
that
20
a lot
years.
of people,
It's like,
that was the bit of 09 that people went, he's a cadet, now he's captain.
I don't mind so much that it's springing on, but the fact that he's sick of it after 5 years, it's like, really? 5 years?
I've had jobs like
staying
that.
power?
I've had jobs like that. Come on.
I've been in the same one 7 years now, and it's like, but still, there's time to get, plenty of more opportunity to be tired of what you're doing, and then he gets to fly around space in green-skinned tees and perk. So what's not to like?
So the worrying thing about this new Star Trek film is the writers they've got attached to it. I mean, they're not like. It's not like, it's this person from this film. They're relative unknowns. They've only got one film that has actually come out in pre-production. Well, sorry, hang on. One of them's only got one film that's actually come out, and the other one has only got 2 screenplay attachments to them. They've got lots of stuff in pre-production and announced, but nothing. They're relative unknowns, which is surprising. It's either a case of like Paramount have gone, just give it to anyone and let JJ helm it, or he really believes these guys are good writers. And I'm happy to give him the benefit of the doubt and say like, new writers great, they can be good, but also can be like, ooh, I'd like to have someone with a bit more credentials behind it. It's interesting. I'm glad they're not using the Star Trek Into Darkness writers. Fantastic, but it's still slightly worrying. Could be interesting.
Yeah, Into Darkness is sacrilege, really, wasn't it?
It was okay to a point until he said my name is Khan, and I was in the cinema and I rolled my eyes. They went to the back of my head and were looking at the person behind me. I was just like, oh my god, anyone but Khan would have just made that film tolerable, but the fact it was Khan was just like, why?
Yeah.
It's Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like the whitest person you know, and this is not a guy with this is not like not Ricardo Montalban. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just you went to the trouble of, in the first film, destroying Vulcan, resetting everything. You could go anywhere. You could tell any story you want, and you want to retell the story of the second Star Trek film in your second Star Trek film.
One of the most popular stories in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how.
I'm going to
How
actually
bankrupt.
I'm going to actually. It's actually a retelling of Space Seed, but we'll go on from there.
Well, but then you tell the.
Where was Marla McGivers?
Oh, that's true. Sorry. No, we had Alice Eve instead. We had Carol. Brain fails me.
Marcus.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, okay, all right. So it's not a retelling of Space Seed. It's eating and swallowing Space Seed in 5 minutes of your movie, so you can get on to telling Wrath of Khan instead. Because Space Seed, one of the classic episodes of the original series, was too boring for you. So it's like, let's just get rid of all that prologue shit, and let's just go right on to swapping Kirk and Spock in their roles in Wrath of Khan, because that's so unique, original, and interesting.
Yeah, because
I'm
he
gonna
did
get
the
another
Khan
drink
thing, and then Kirk died, and there's all that. I was like, oh, come on. Yeah, that's kind of where it took a nosedive. There were some good bits. I like the whole link. I like the idea that because of the Kelvin incident, Starfleet went a bit more militaristic. I like they produced the starship in that, which is quite a cool design actually. Going back, the Vengeance. That was quite cool. It was very menacing and very evil looking. I quite liked that little sort of interplay, and that Admiral Marcus himself was. Oh, have you? Nice. Admiral Marcus himself was very much changed by the events of that, and said, "Well, Starfleet's got to go in a new direction." I liked that route they were taking to say this is how we're going to be different.
Yes.
So, and that gave them options to sort of do more actiony stuff as well. But yeah, the resolution of it being Khan, and then
Well, and it's like your best idea for that is to go hunt down a sleeper ship with like a genocidal emperor character from Earth's past, and it's like, oh, he can help. That's your plan.
I wonder what they had to say to Benedict
They
Cumberbatch.
Definitely could have gone a different way.
No, go on, please.
So they definitely could have gone a different way. They even go in a different way, more militaristic. They could have. Pike could have been a sort of a more a good admiral. We have bad admirals, don't we? So we could have had a good Admiral Pike. We could have had some good stuff going on. John Harrison, that started out the character again was like really interesting, and it could have been something really cool happening. And he went to Kronos, and there's like the first half of the film. Yeah, it's really good. And then, as you say, it's like my name is Khan, and it's like, that means nothing to Kirk. Kirk's never heard of Khan. It's the audience who meant to go, "Ooh!" and we just oh, okay, and exactly. We all went, but you're not Ricardo Montalban.
You're Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, you're Sherlock Holmes and Doctor Strange. Well, he was Doctor Strange then, but he would,
Well, and then you
Smaug then.
Yeah, right. Well, and then you buzz in Nimoy for a minute and a half. It's like, hey, who's Khan? I can't tell you. He's bad, but I can't tell you. Paycheck, please.
I will give it due because it is Leonard Nimoy's last appearance as Spock, so I will let that slide.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's just you opened up your world and you designed it this way to have a world, a galaxy of possibilities for new stories, even maybe telling a story that wasn't already told in another Star Trek movie. It's like you could have mined all of these other series for stuff that was maybe just on in a television episode and bring that into a more cinematic experience, more cinematic story. It's just, but instead you just go right down the same path that had already been gone, even in the same number order as your predecessors. So it's just
the worst part was there was a lot of lying as well pre-production. I remember following that film quite closely, and when they were talking about the whole John Harriman, Benedict Cumberbatch, He's not Khan. He's John Harriman. There was a lot of like, no, we're not retreading old ground and all this. And there was a lot of like, and then going into the film, which like what you say, Walt, when he says Khan and everyone goes, oh, for fuck's sake, it's because those fans of us that have been following it just kind of go, oh, you just lied, you bastard. And that kind of fits for JJ's track record going forward onto the we won't go into Star Wars here, but going forward into the Star Wars film was what happened with Rise of Skywalker and all that fucking debacle there as well. It's just like, oh, come on. So yeah. Curiously, don't know, guarded for this release if it happens, because we've had at least 4 variants fall through so far already, and it will be 9 years before the last one. So
I was quite looking forward to the Tarantino track.
I know.
I'm a Tarantino fan.
Yeah, I love Tarantino. Have you read the sort of production brief for that? Like, 'cause there was a piece came out recently that said what he was going for. Basically, do you know the original series episode A Piece of the Action, where they go gangster? They go the gangster. He's basically
we get Gangster Kirk and Gangster Spock.
Yeah, he was going to evolve, basically do a new version of that, but with Chris Pine, and they were going to do A Piece of the Action, which would have fit Tarantino's style, but I'm not sure. He was very excited about doing it, but it was, I'd love to see his script for that.
Yeah,
that could have been interesting.
But that would have been more along the lines of what I was talking about. It's like, you could go back to other episodes, other stories, and do something new and different.
Well, a great story that I read one of the Discovery books, sort of when I think it was when the first series came out, and it was based on, do you remember Governor Kodos from the original series? It was based all around his story and how Kirk got to meet him. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant story. That's something like that could be made into a film.
Yeah, there's so much potential. I mean, there's a few rumours flying about that they're going to do a SETI Alpha 5 series, or definitely some more Khan stuff, which I'm kind of hoping not. Which let's loop this around as well. So kind of links in with Strange New Worlds, the new series that's coming out. Why they haven't given us a teaser yet or a trailer? Come on, get on it. I'm really excited to see it. There's a lot of screenshots been come out from that developer thing they had. But one of the characters in there is Laan Noonien Singh. I think it's Laan Noonien Singh, who is been confirmed. Yes, is a relation of Khan's. Now this is set pre-TOS. So I'm wondering, you guys, like, what's the theory crafting here? Are they going to keep her an eternal mystery, especially with Spock being there, and Uhura as well? It's going to make things a little bit complicated, like skirting the canon.
I don't know.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, so I'm just kind of going it around in my head.
You've not watched?
I haven't read anything.
Oh really? Oh, do you want to know who's in the cast? Hang on, let me find. Because we've got it, the cast looks really interesting. Let me just find. Hang on.
While you're looking at it all, I mean, I'd heard this stuff about it as well. So, it's you're right. It's the fact that if it's to fit in with canon, are they going to mention who she is, the connection, or is it going to be very sort of hush? Is Pike maybe going to know about it, but sort of the other officers won't, or something like? Because again, that could almost then fit, because obviously what happens with Pike. So it could be something that, I know about your history, I know about your record, or whatever, blah blah blah, and they sort of keep it as a little bit of a sideline, that sort of maybe a tertiary story or something like that. They could do something like that. But what I just don't want to see, I think time travel is like, it's overdone. I don't want to see yet another blooming let's go back to Earth of 2022. Christ, no one wants to come here at the moment.
Hello, Picard.
Picard is coming out doing that exact same thing, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
Exactly. So I don't want to see any more of that. I'm not sure how I feel about Picard doing it, and I'm also, as much as I would like to see sort of Mirror Pike, Mirror Universe, I've had enough of that one as well for now. So I'd like get some classic Trek kind of stuff in there, Planet of the Week, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll be happy again. So something a bit different to what Discovery is. Discovery's got a big arc.
I think it does have to do something different to Discovery. Definitely, there has to sort of be. They can't have two shows kind of fitting the same things. And I think from what Akiva Goldsman, who's the main showrunner, is saying, that they are going to do essentially bottle episodes, Planet of the Week kind of stuff, with a sort of serialized overtone. So I think they are still going to hit kind of what they did a little bit in Discovery Season 2, I think, with Pike stuff, with like the New Eden episodes, where they will have these individual episodes, but keep that a kind of overrunning arc. But we have, if you want to know what the cast are, we got Melissa Navia as Erica Ortigas, who looks like to be sort of the Sulu in the role. We have Christina Chong, who Rev Damar points out was in Doctor Who. She was in an episode from the Matt Smith's run, wasn't it? He was in one. She plays Laan Noonien Singh, so literally deliberate voice, deliberate sort of same name. And I have heard as well that maybe her brother's going to be in it as well. I don't know if that was confirmed.
Is she part of the crew?
She's part of the crew. She is on the Enterprise crew. She's wearing the uniform and the badge. So, when a good man goes to war, when a goof man goes to war. Yes, I love it. Bruce Horak is playing Hemmer. Hemmer is an Anar who is on the ship. So he's going to be sort of the blind Anar. He's got the classic look, sort of the pale Andorian skin, the white, the white eyes. So I'm really interested about him. I think that's got potential to be quite a cool little storyline.
Yeah.
This is the one everyone's excited about. Babs Olusen Mukunt, apologies if I can't pronounce his name right. He was in Dune recently as well, the new Dune film. He's playing Dr. Mabenga. I'm actually really excited about that as well. Because he's a character people want to see more, though. We've also got, and another one, Jess Bush is playing Nurse Chapel. So we're going to have Nurse Chapel, and we're going to have Number One. So both characters played by Major Roddenberry in the series together, which I think is great. I think it's brilliant. I think that's a good little twist. Obviously, Pike, Anson Mount, and Ethan Pecker in it as well. And we've got, and I haven't got a name up on screen at the moment. Let me quite look up. But Cadet Uhura, as played by. Oh, why are you not working now? But yes, Cadet Uhura is in this.
Because you need it.
Sorry.
Oh, it's because you need it right now. That's why
exactly.
It's not
That's exactly the reason. Oh, Celia Rose Gooding as Cadet Nyota Uhura, depending on how you say it. So yeah, that's. I remember seeing that cast list come up, and I thought, actually, aside from the trepidation of Nan Noonien Singh, which is a weird way of saying it, I'm excited about that cast. I think there's a good link, especially with Chapel and Uhura coming on, and Benga as well. I think there's a good. We need Piper in there as well somehow. Someone needs to on Dr. Boyce. Find out where Dr. Boyce went.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I mean that campaign made a lot of sense to bring Jeffrey Combs on as.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
Yes, as Boyce, because man, the look looks very similar at this point in his career. But yeah, I wonder if the Soong thing. I mean, is just another like Alton Soong kind of thing where it's like, yes, there's a connection, but it's just kind of incidental and it doesn't really touch on a larger storyline. Or, I mean, maybe even philosophically, it's like, yes, your ancestor was this notorious criminal war figure that's like war criminal. And at this point, Space Seed hasn't happened. Khan has not returned in any capacity. So it's just like, yes, the sins of the father, grandfather, great-grandfather don't necessarily hold sway over you. You have a place in Starfleet. You can be part of this going forward. So, I mean, I'm not going to... I have an eyebrow raised, but I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily a harbinger of awful, hacky story writing to come. But, you never know.
So I'm curious on one thing. The reason I'm curious is because I'm kind of like collating a sort of history of Trek kind of document that I want to sort of, I think me and Otto were talking about spinning it off into sort of like a bit of a show and a discussion about, what caused sort of like these early things like the eugenics wars and the World War III. And it'd be interesting to see if that brings any more insight into that. And the one thing looking at the cast list is, yes, there is a Manu Noonien Singh in the cast as well, who I think is going to be her brother, and also a young Lan. So they're obviously there's going to be a flashback at some point with her backstory somewhere in there. So I think it's going to be... I'm optimistically curious to see what they're going to do, and hopefully maybe it'll go into more of the sort of the history of this is what the eugenics wars was, because obviously it didn't hit what was it? Is it San Francisco in Future's End with Rain Robinson?
Yeah.
In the late 1990s.
Yes. The era of future skateboards, roller skates. She has your thighs.
So yeah, I mean, it could be. Well, I mean, is it a good thing to reference the Terminator movies where they had to keep moving the goalposts
Depends
temporarily?
How far are we going with the Terminator films? Are we going all the way up to the latest one, or stopping at like the good one?
We can't if we're talking about this, because it's an explanation for why things didn't happen that have already passed in time.
Yeah.
So they're having to move things and re-explain things, and this is why Judgment Day didn't happen, and vis-a-vis Khan. So yeah, that's not the most optimistic thing to be referencing against, but it is something that unfortunately you have to do. And yes, you started your story in the 1960s, so 30 years on seemed like a really long time to cast a net forward. But time moves on, and those dates don't mean what they meant at that time anymore. So you have to come up with an explanation why these things that have happened in the future still happen somehow. So I mean, I can understand that, but that's concerning to me.
Quick shout out. Thank you to Marto Kegabana, and apologies I can't say that properly. Rebels in action, fleet in attendance. Good to see you. Christina Chong. Yes. Christina Chong is actually noted as to be in all 10 episodes of Strange New Worlds that are in post-production at the moment. I think they're filming season 2. Hasn't actually said anything about season 2 at the moment, whether she's in it, but she's definitely in more than just the pilot, which Cairo mentioned. Then maybe she's just in the pilot, but no, apparently she is in quite a lot more of it. I didn't realise, just looking over IMDb, she was in Line of Duty, and now I'm going to have to go back and find out where she was. And she was in 24 as well. Wow. And in, not else.
Gets around.
Yeah, there you go. I always find that you find unique actors and go, oh yeah, that's where they're from. It happens all over the place. Speaking,
I did it today.
Oh yeah,
I learned that. I can't even remember her name now. The girl who plays Mariner in Lower Decks. In Space Force. I was watching the new series of Space Force.
Wow.
Yeah,
fantastic. Tawny Newsome.
Thank you.
Tawny Newsome. That's her. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I recognised the voice. And I was like, Who's that? I've got to Google her, find out who it is. Of course, it's Mariner.
You always know the voice. Rutherford was in Loki. I didn't realise.
What was he?
Have you watched Loki? He's the guy that's sort of like the desk clerk in like one of the early episodes that has all the Infinity Stones in his drawer. And I was just like,
Infinity Stones in.
I know that voice from somewhere, and I've not. I know he's in. Is it The New Place or another? No, The Good Place, is it? I think he's like a main character.
Oh, The Good Place.
Well. I think so.
Oh, is it him?
I think so. Let me just double check. Welcome to IMDb Talks, where we just scroll IMDb and go, oh, there is that.
Googling.
Great show, that was
it's funny, as soon as you mentioned Loki and Rutherford, it's like, is it the guy with the Infinity Stones in the desk? Is it that guy? It's like, it's Nick.
Obviously, Jack Quaid, we all know, is in The Boys. If you've not watched The Boys, go watch The Boys. It's very good. But what's his name? Eugene Cordero. Yes, he's in... he's in Loki, and he is in The Good Place. Yes, same person. Oh, he's in The Mandalorian as well. Didn't know that. What? Anyway, sorry. Speaking of Soongs coming out from nowhere, this thought just passed me by as we were talking about it. What was your opinion of Alton Soong, since you mentioned him, Big? Like, of him coming out of nowhere in the last couple of episodes of Picard and go, "Hey, it's me, Brent Spiner. I mean Alton Soong, because I'm here too." Yeah. Like, what was?
Well, all right. So there's two. I have two opinions on it. One is, he certainly was a character in the show, and much more than that you can't really say, because he didn't really do that much. He was just kind of standing there with the androids. It's like, yeah, well, destroy all of humanity. That's fine. You got to kill me too. Great, that's fine. But as a vehicle to allow Brent Spiner to continue being part of the Trek universe and Trek story going forward, I think that's only going to be a positive thing for us, because I mean, I've never seen anything that Brent Spiner has been in a Trek capacity and thought, you know what, I didn't like that. I want less of that. It's always been I would like more, and he's always been great, and he's always brought something unique and special to any of the roles that he's played. So as a means of doing that, then yeah, I'm all for more Alton Soong and all whatever this new Soong character that he's going to be in the past of Picard season 2. I don't know what the name is, but yeah, I'm okay with this. More Brent Spiner all the time. Great.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. I mean, it's like you say, it's a bit of a, oh, I'm an ancestor of a character, you know, but it's Brent Spiner, so it kind of works.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah,
it's like,
I don't mind it.
Man, is the Soong DNA just such a straight arrow that
Yeah, they all look the
always
same.
going to be- yeah, it's just Brent Spiner all the way down the line. So
Well, I think the theory was that the original Soong from Enterprise. God, I'm terrible with names today. What was his name?
Eric
Soong. Thank you.
Eric, yes.
The theory was that they're just clones. Essentially, he didn't do the nasty and do children the normal way. He would just clone himself as he went on. And Noonien took that on as well to make Alton. So
somehow Noonien Soong has returned.
oh no. Yes, that should be the intro to Brothers, shouldn't it?
Yes.
Jesus. Oh. What was I going to say? I had something else in my head as I was just walking down the stairs and I get a second ago, and it's completely gone. This is what happens when you drink beer. You'll be glad to know, Cranky, I have got a salt beer. There you go.
Nice.
I know you've been having.
I had one of those earlier on. That's what I had before my Kingslayer
nice.
was sold.
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I was going to talk about beer then for a second. But
Go for it.
topic.
We're chilled. We don't do much here.
Yeah.
Are you peated
I was
or
gonna-
unpeated
no plan.
stars?
Peter.
Stars.
Stars?
Big. Sorry. Oh, Christ. I told you I'm terrible with names tonight. Sorry.
You know what? No, I am going to take that as a very large compliment, and I appreciate that. No, this is very much a peated whiskey. This is Ardbeg Weebiste, Isla single malt Scotch whiskey, and if it's Ardbeg, it's peated to the nines. So it is lovely and tastes like a bog.
Fantastic. Dear. Okay, guys, let me ask you this. So with the series Picard Season 2 coming out very soon, obviously I promise we're not promoting this, no one's paying us to say
Really
this.
soon.
Really soon, like within a couple of weeks. Like Discovery's going to end, and we won't talk about that because spoilers, there's quite a lot going on, but Picard Series 2, the one thing that interests me with that, and I'm a little bit hyped with it, because I know, Walt, you said like time travel stories a bit sort of faded, and I kind of agree that it's a sort of been a recurring theme for everyone to kind of go back to the present day or find an Earth-like planet in Star Trek. It's very sort of sort of rundown topic. The one thing that gives me pause for thought is this is actually happening in, I believe it's 2024 or 20, so around the same time as and it's been noted as well. There's been similar things. The Bell's riots, yes. I'm wondering if they're going to address that, because if people have seen the kind of the compound signs, the same kind of era, and they're sort of saying maybe this is the era when history changed. What do we reckon? There's going to be a Cisco cameo as an old, Alexander Bell? No, Adrian Bell. No, what was his name? Fuck! What is with me to names tonight? I keep thinking of Graham Bell. That's the guy that invented the fucking telephone.
Gabriel Bell.
Gabriel Bell. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
How much do we have to drink?
Yeah.
I will give you my first reaction when I saw the trailer that made it clear that they were going back to essentially modern day Earth was, oh no, not this, not this again.
Not like this.
It's like, are they gonna save the whales again? Are they gonna, what are they gonna do? But touching on, what was it? Past Perfect, or what was Past Prologue?
No, it wasn't Past Prologue. That was the one where that was like early DS9. That was.
The name of the two-parter. But anyway, the Bell Riots.
Future Tense.
Future Tense, maybe. Yeah.
Come on.
Anyway,
I'm trying to think of something intelligent to input here.
In chat.
I've got no idea.
But because there had been some think pieces that had come out fairly recently about how prescient that two-parter was in our modern times. It's like, they're, maybe not exactly to where they're splitting people off into sanctuary camps and stuff like that, but how oddly dystopian the modern times have become for one reason or another, and that could be a past tense.
Yeah.
Is what Reb Damar said. Yeah. Thank you, Reb Damar. But yeah, just that is a pretty ripe narrative thread to have some pretty prescient social commentary now. And then also, the same thing that we were talking about before, how, it may not necessarily happen exactly when they said it did on the first time that it's mentioned in a Star Trek series. So they have to kind of shift it. And, if you're talking about Q talking about the road not taken and when did the timelines diverge and was it here and how did it happen, then yes, I think that's as good a spot as any to do that, and as good of a reason as you can probably think of to do the lazy production thing of having things in modern times so you can just use modern sets and modern.
That's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Cheap production costs.
Yes. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to get away from the fact that when I saw it, I was like, oh, don't make this choice. But that doesn't mean that you can't tell a good story, and I am cautiously optimistic that they can do that.
Well, what are your thoughts, given your trepidation on time travel shenanigans?
Yeah, I think like everybody, I kind of been a bit of an eye on things, and obviously waiting for all the information to come through various channels that we're getting. I think obviously anything with John Delancey's good. We'll have a bit of Q, so in some ways it can't be bad, but yeah, you're just kind of like worrying. Are they going to? There's a danger that they'll try and be too clever. They'll out meta themselves, and then they'll like, oh, we can do this. We can do this clever stuff, and jury's out for me.
Interesting.
On this one.
I'm intrigued. I think there's a lot of stuff that's in the trailers that definitely interests me, like the alternate history stuff for a start. Like that seems like that's sort of like the setup for everything, and whether that's Q that set that up or not, or whether is this more part of sort of the all good things? Is this more part of the trial of humanity? Very much seems like maybe that's sort of part of it, or it is. Yeah, I don't know. I am very intrigued by the Q's angle in this, and Guinan as well. Like, because obviously we've seen Guinan and Whoopi Goldberg in that.
Or is it a continuation of Tapestry? With the Ensign Picard, it's like is that the road not taken?
One.
That could be true.
Yeah, it's like there's a few different ways that could go. Yeah, and I was surprised in the trailer how much Whoopi Goldberg can still be Guinan, and because it seems like she's a very different person now than she was, in the 90s or even the early 2000s.
Guinan always was Whoopi, though, wasn't it? It was very much Whoopi, because she was a Star Trek fan. She was like the original sort of like motivated by Uhura and meeting sort of Martin Luther King back in the days, and the whole sort of like the segregation movement, to abolish all that back in the 60s and the 70s. She's all born out of that, and that's why she wanted to be on Star Trek. And everyone was like, yeah, you can come on Star Trek, come and do it. And so she kind of always had free reign to do what she wants. Like, I want to be a sick ass bartender who gives good advice to people. Done.
Yeah.
Oh, and I can travel through realities, and I can defeat the Q, which might come into it. Do you reckon? Yeah. Do you reckon she'll do that again?
Because that's a thread that was dangled out there and never fully explored.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And even what the history of Picard and Guinan is. It's like it's only just been hinted at, referenced at.
Yeah,
it's like
there was some,
there's a lot.
There was obviously, we're talking about books like they're canon, but they're not. But there were some books that do go into that, which is the first. I haven't read them, but there's a 6-book Stargazer series, which I'm aren't bad from what I read, but if anyone wants to sort of go into that, maybe they'll invalidate like that, like they have everything else of the Star Trek book series.
Start adding it as traits.
Yes. Yeah, not to speak timelines too much on the stream, but yeah, well, interesting cards to come out. It'll be another version of 7 without Borg for sure. There is actually a audiobook coming out. If anyone's followed any, I know Rev Damar, you have any Big Finish stuff where they do a Doctor Who, where they get the old Doctors back, like the guys who played them from back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and so forth. And they do full, they're not audiobooks where they just read them out, they're full dramatic productions as if it was an episode but for the radio. There's actually a series, there is actually an audio drama coming out with Seven and Raffi, where they go back to Seven's past with the Fenris Rangers, which is coming out fairly soon, and it's got Jerry Ryan and Michelle Hurd in as acting their parts. It looks really interesting, and I'm really interested in an audio format of Star Trek to come out with the actors, and I think that's a really good idea. Like, hands up if you would love them to do that with Enterprise as well. Just have some Enterprise audio dramas, hell yes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or any of the other series.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of audio books and audio dramas. I love it. 'Cause I love books, but I'm not great at reading, so it works perfectly for me.
Does it just fall onto your face when you read it? Oh no, it's like the guy from Airplane who says I've got a drinking problem and just throws the drink on his face.
Well, and it gets around one of the most difficult aspects of continuing a story after time has passed, is that in a live action series, the actors themselves have obviously aged.
They look old. Yeah.
Just the Enterprise finale, just how much older Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis are, just takes you out of that entirely. Because it's supposed to be of the same episode. But with audio or with animation, it's like you can get around that, because it's like, yes, I mean, voices age too. It's like Mark Hamill can't be
bye, Walt.
Hopefully many happy returns.
He'll come back. His laptop's playing up apparently, so he'll be back in a second.
Yeah, but with audio, then you can continue to be those characters and probably be a reasonable approximation of those characters as that age, and just continue on the story. Yeah. So in an audio form, I think that is the perfect way to do stuff like that.
I think we see that with Lower Decks, because Riker's obviously in Lower Decks, and it sounds like Riker. You can just picture it. It's Riker. Yeah. And how old is he now compared to Next Generation? So I agree with that. Works definitely on audio.
I have a friend of mine at the moment that's refusing to watch Picard. He's fairly sort of like it surprised me because he said, "Oh, I'm going to I've been watching Star Trek." I'm like, "You've only watched Smokey and the Bandit, and like that's all you've ever seen." He's me and my wife watching all of Star Trek at the moment. He goes, "But I'm not watching Star Trek Picard. He looks too old." It's like, well, that's what happens. But okay, they do get old, but yeah. Speaking,
just wait till the Golem.
Yes. On the same kind of tangent, seeing Janeway in Prodigy, like, because people sort of saw her in there and thought, oh, maybe it's just a cameo. No. Janeway is a huge part of that series. Like, there's hologram Janeway is very prolific. She hasn't stepped out of her voice. Like, she is still Janeway in her voice, in a characterization of it. It's absolutely fantastic to like hear. Like, I don't feel at any point that she's sort of phoning it in or anything like that. She's really committed. Anyone that hasn't watched Prodigy, go and watch Prodigy. It's so good.
Yeah, I need to download that.
Sorry, you mean stream it legally in the country that
stream it, completely legally.
Of course, because we can do that here in the United Kingdom that doesn't have Paramount Plus yet.
P plus forever. The only thing that I've seen of New Trek, well, I mean, it's been fairly well documented on regular Timelines Talks episodes. That all I've seen season 1 of Picard. I'm almost all the way caught up on Lower Decks, and then I've seen about a season and a third of Discovery. So I haven't made it to Prodigy yet. I'm hoping that Prodigy will be something that maybe we can watch together as a family, because Definitely. It's supposed to be more child oriented.
I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes with my son, and he was into it. I need to rewatch them with him, and I'm looking forward to doing that because that's something to do.
Actually, it's like I had a proud dad moment because my kids, it's like my daughters are really into like the back catalog of Nickelodeon children's programming. So they're watching, like iCarly and Victorious and like shows from the mid 2000s. And they watched some Nickelodeon movie because they would have these movies that would team up these actors from different series playing different characters, but it's obviously still, all these same actors. And there was a scene where they went into a pawn shop or whatever, and there was a Worf cardboard cutout stand-up behind the character that was talking, and my kids paused it so they could come get us, get me and my wife to come. It's like, and look who it is! It's Worf! It's Worf!
Brilliant.
It's like, I love you, kids.
Parenting done well, that is. Parenting done well.
Yeah, the stuff sticks, I guess. So,
No,
I do want to get into Prodigy for sure.
It's the one thing that surprised me with it, well, and I won't spoil anything, but like there's not much to spoil, to be fair, but it is sort of how, like, it started off and I went, I'll watch this, it's a kiddie thing, I know it's a kiddie thing, the same way people watch Clone Wars or like Star Wars Rebels, like, yeah, this is a kiddie thing, I'll watch it because it's part of X franchise that I am affiliated with, but really grew on me. Like, there's and reading sort of the producers' comments on how they approach the series and how they approach Janeway and all these kind of things was like, they took a lot of love. In the design of the USS the Protostar, the USS Protostar is really nice. That is like fast becoming one of the ships. I'm looking at Igor Moss going, are you going to make that one? Because I'd really like that as a model. That's really good looking. It's like a tidy little sort of like Nova class kind of ship. It's like small, but it seems quite cool. Walt, have you got your kids on it yet?
No, my kids are not interested in Star Trek. Part of me wishes they were, but another part of me is thinking, okay, it's fine. It's my thing. They can have their thing. I sort of did when I've had it on in the past. I had a Voyager episode on, and 7 on, and my daughter saw obviously 7 with all the implants, not the full ones, but obviously just the small ones, and she was like, let's put her right off, So maybe they'll get into it one day. It's like everything. It's I'm not going to force it on them. I can barely get into. What you have to do
is just keep it on in the background at all times, so they have to
continuously.
So it's
yeah.
So Star Trek becomes like North Korean propaganda or something. It's like you can't turn it. You can turn it down, but you can't turn it all the way off.
I was thinking more of like that Black Mirror episode where you got they play the adverts, and every time you close their eyes, they say, "Open your eyes, otherwise you can't." You have to be forced to be watching it, otherwise your entire life pauses. Maybe is that a bit too dystopian? Okay.
It's for a good cause, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, my eldest knows what a Star Trek is, but he's watched some Prodigy with me. But yeah, they're. I mean, he's 6 years old. I'm not worried about it. But I think okay. Well, I think we asked you this last time, but Cranky, what was your first memories of Star Trek? Like, what got you into it? When did you start watching it properly?
Wow. Probably The Wrath of Khan or The Undiscovered Country is my first memory of watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
My family have always been into it. My real name is Scott, and my older brother is named Kirk. So it kind of yeah. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching The Next Generation when it was on TV in the UK. I remember seeing Data for the first time, and I think it was the second episode, or possibly the third episode of The Next Generation, and Data's really fast. He's putting in chips or isolinear chips into a big board.
Naked Time, isn't it? Or The Naked Now, sorry.
I can remember that clearly in my mind, that scene. I was thinking, wow, this is something brilliant. And I can remember watching DS9 and Voyager.
Did you watch it on BBC Two at 6 o'clock?
I can't remember what channel or what time, but yes, if that's when it was on. Then I remember
my sister coming across and she'd pick up the remote and she'd change the channel. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a good bit. So I want to watch something more interesting. No, I'm watching my programs.
I think was it 94 when Generations came out? I went to the cinema. My granddad took me to the cinema to go and watch that, and I loved it. Absolutely loved Generations. That's like a special one for me now because of that.
No, that's a good memory.
But yeah, I got out of Star Trek for a while, and Enterprise actually dragged me back into it.
Oh wow.
That's
odd. Never heard of people talk about Enterprise dragging them in. I usually hear about the other way around.
This is about sort of 2000, probably 2012. I hadn't watched Enterprise. I'd completely got out of Star Trek, and probably about 2012, I used to work away a lot, so I needed stuff to watch. I was on my own in a hotel room, and Enterprise was perfect. It got me straight back into Star Trek.
How about you, Walt?
I think I discussed this last time I was on. Yeah, for me, I think I said that we were, when I was a kid growing up, I'm sort of born 77, like probably around sort of similar age to you, Cranky, probably maybe a touch older. Star Trek was on TV when we were kids, and the only thing that was on was maybe some old original series. You might have seen the old one of them, and it already had a bit of a bad rap. Flipping geeks watching that load of old.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone just mocking it. It's like, and so all kind of the only new trick was the movies. And I think probably Voyage Home was probably about the sort of first one that I sort of remember it sort of being new and watching that new. And then obviously it wasn't then. I think as we discussed last time, we were a bit late in the UK getting Next Generation. Well, it came out in 87 in the States. I think it was 89 or 90 over here. So by then I was sort of early teens. And then very much got into the Next Generation. It was great. We used to watch that every week on BBC Two. And then watched DS9 and Voyager. And I remember when it seemed like the movies were going to wrap up for Next Generation. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to do DS9 movies. And
where are they?
and I think when they were talking about it, DS9 was still running, and obviously, so we hadn't had the way that it ended with things you leave behind, whatever it is.
What you leave behind.
And so what you leave behind, and kind of when that finished, like it's like, okay, yeah, the movies, there isn't really it was difficult to go anywhere else. It'd be a convoluted storyline to make it sort of do anything else, and it was, so then Voyager was the big thing, and I've never heard anyone say Enterprise got me into it, but I think a lot of us now are sort of rewatching this stuff. We're seeing some good stuff in there. There's not like everything. It's not all great. None of it's pure gold of any of the series. I don't think so. Just find them. I like the Xindi storyline in Enterprise. I like all that kind of stuff.
I love that. Season 3 is brilliant.
Yeah, and I really got into all that. But then it went into, we were just talking about Drake Sung and all that. And it's like, go switch that off. It's boring. It didn't interest me at all. I was like,
interesting. I know a lot of people sort of poop on season 3 of Enterprise, but I quite liked it because it's sort of like almost the dawn of serialized storytelling and sort of like Star Trek can do this as well. But I quite liked it. I thought it was interesting enough. It's just a shame they haven't referenced the Xindi anywhere else ever since, which is a bit of a shame because I quite like that as a concept. A race of people made up of lots of different races, which is kind of almost like an anti-federation in a way. I quite like that. But so you thought Enterprise was a bit of a
poop question, sir?
A poop question?
Poop question? No, can't. Oh, do you know what the clip I need to get? I need to get the one of Clip going, I was a perfect gentleman. Speaking of, there's I mentioned this on Thomas Talks last week. The Shuttle Pod 1 is Connor Trenier and Dominic Keating's YouTube show. They haven't put it to a podcast yet, but it's a YouTube show about them. They do a table read of Shuttle Pod 1, where they're both trapped in the first season episode where they're both trapped in the shuttle pod. And they've done a couple of I haven't watched them yet, but they've done a couple of episodes with John Billingsley on, and the guy that played Saval, what's his name? And Tanis.
Gary Green?
Gary Graham.
Grimm.
Yes, who was in Alien Nation as well.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yes. You've been in everything. Yeah, so that's I need to catch up on that. It's sort of like another alternative to the Delta Flyers with those guys, which is quite cool. Definitely. Captain of the Franklin was a Mako. Yes, he was. I quite that's going right back to the beginning of the show. The part of Beyond I liked was they referenced the Makos, didn't they? And they sort of, the Franklin was sort of like a Mako vessel as well. You know, they did play some homage in those films. Where do we go from here? That was quite an exhaustive sort of link of one thing to the next, wasn't it?
I had an interesting thought that because everybody is different in this, but it's a very exciting time right now for Trek, just because there's so much going on and so much that's new, and you can have a couple of different opinions about it. It's like you can either try and read and see everything you can before these things come out, or you try and just completely wall yourself off so everything is new. So I was wondering what is everybody's positions on that, and why do you like to be that way?
I just like to see it when it comes out. I like to not know anything and just watch it.
That's probably the
get
better
everything
way.
from the episodes. Doing it without any sort of things in mind, no thoughts already without actually seeing the episodes. I prefer that way, I think.
Yeah, I try and I'm try and get that sort of trying to hit that perfect spot where I've just got enough of the information just to sort of keep me sort of teased in and hooked in. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, without getting all the spoilers and finding out everything. And it's like even I don't know if any of you guys watching the Trek culture stuff on the YouTube channel, when they do all like the ups and downs of the Discovery episodes and stuff, and they talk through it all. And I find they do it for Lower Decks, they do it for Discovery. If like say, oh, these are all good things, and they point out all sorts of things that that miss. Oh, you see this in the background. You're like, well, no, I didn't see that. And it's good because then you can sound really intelligent on Discord. You go, oh yeah, I saw this thing in the background, and it's like that, and it's like.
That's the sort of thing I need to. When I come on Timelines Talks, I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, but I think theirs comes out.
Yeah.
They put their stuff out. I think they put their stuff out a day or two before I get it on like Discovery on Pluto. So I'll see it. I can't watch that yet. I have to wait, and obviously, and we've got on the Discord Idol. We spoiler everything, and we try. And again, I can't see what Idol's watched it. I can't wait till tomorrow before I can read. Oh yeah. Because again, if we're talking back in the other franchise, which I'm advertising, if you remember back, and I was talking about it this evening at dinner, I said, in late 90s, we'd been without that franchise for so long, and we'd had that drought, and then there was all the adverts for Phantom Menace, and it's like, oh, it looks so good. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Yeah. And then as soon as you got the old double lightsaber, you're like, right, I'm watching that every week. Nothing's going to stop me from watching that. And then it's like, and it's like, even now you look back and you think the trailer looks so good still. The trailer looks really good. If you watch the trailer, you go, that's one hell of a film I'm going to watch. And then when you watch it, you're like, yeah, I didn't quite hit all those spots. So, it's difficult to get that sweet spot of sucking you in but not ruining it for you.
I'm such an I have a lot of time to spend on the internet with like work or whatever. Like my work has like bubbles of like where it's insanely busy or just quiet for ages. And when it's quiet for ages, I'm just like there. I'm on the internet, so like I can't help but just sit there and just read up on stuff, watch trailers or whatever. But the one thing that was hard for me was I actually avoided all trailers and any information on Avengers Infinity War, because I was really excited about that. I thought I really want to give this a fair shot and not do anything or not watch anything. Didn't watch a single trailer, didn't read anything. I literally blacklisted a load of websites for about 6-7 months, and that was really hard work. It was really hard, but yeah, I managed to do it, and it was worth the wait. But I think for Star Trek, I kind of need to absorb all the information. I just need to suck it in and just kind of go, right, I'm ready for this. And I think it hasn't been too detrimental for the TV stuff. Like they like we're not watching. I think I'm not watching Star Trek stuff in the same way I'm watching Marvel stuff, which is like, oh, where's that coming in? Oh, where's that? And there's this link to this and that. But like, I'm watching it I want to watch a really good Star Trek episode. So I think it's, different. I think they definitely hold things back for surprises, but I don't think that's the main impetus of it.
Yeah, I would say that I'm pretty much in the Walt Koenig school of spoiler control. I really don't like surprises all that much. So it's like, if the information is available, it's like I'm the kind of person that, halfway into a movie that I haven't seen before, I'll start, kind of side-eyeing the Wikipedia article. It's like, where's all this going? Just in case. In some ways, it's kind of, well, if it's going to be a disappointing answer, I would rather know now and prepare myself to watch it than, the thrill of it being some absolute shocker that would really, bowl me over if I didn't have the information in advance. It's like that's the kind of mental calculus that I do. It's like, I would rather be spoiled of something that would be great if I didn't know about it than to be disappointed by something that I would hate if I didn't know about it. So that's kind of where I go. Yeah, no, oddly enough, it's like I did try and avoid spoilers for like Avengers Endgame and stuff like that. And it's like spoilers for like some of the TV series like WandaVision and Loki. I didn't really want to know anything like that. And then Mandalorian and but less so Book of Boba Fett, oddly enough, because that was just, I don't know. It didn't
mean the Mandalorian season 2.5?
Yes, yeah. So it's like, yeah, I didn't get so precious about that because just the story wasn't grabbing me in the same way.
Oh, nice. Even the Baby Yoda as well. But anyway, this is a Star Trek chat. Keeping on topic. We will have a
Star Wars stream very soon. Taz.
Yes, I was just going to mention that. Marty, yes, ask opinions on Task. Go on, guys. I'll give mine when I've heard your guys. Who has watched it here first? Who has watched the animated series from the 70s?
Animated series.
Yes.
I've been watching it recently.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've seen it. I think I've got half of season 2 left to watch. It's okay. It's Star Trek. It's very much the original series. I mean, I tend to watch it while I'm skirmishing or doing a Galaxy event, and it's just listening to it without really watching it and paying too much attention. It's just like watching the original series. And so it kind of fits. It's just 20-minute episodes.
Did you know, if you want to recreate that, the entire soundtrack is on Spotify for the animated series, which I found recently. So. Including that great theme song. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I do like the 70s music in that. Yeah. It's brilliant, that is. Very sharp.
It's almost like Hanna-Barbera.
One episode.
Yeah.
Well, because it is Scooby-Doo level animation for the most part. Yeah. It's what I took from it when I watched it, because my kids loved it. Oddly enough, because they were looking for something Trek adjacent that might be something that was more appealing to them, and that's back when the kids were like 6 and 4 and really small. And when watching it with them, it's like, this is better than I thought it was going to be. There are some obviously ridiculous Saturday morning cartoon kid things in it, but I was surprised at how much of it was just season 4 of the original series in a lot of respects. It carries right along. It's like you could kind of suspend your disbelief that it's just a morning animated, Scooby-Doo Star Trek, and just plug in like you were watching an episode of the original series more often than not. So yeah, it's better than if you haven't seen it at all, it's better than you probably think it is. and I think it's worth your time to go through and watch if you can.
It depends on how high your tolerance is for the original series. Like, if you can't get behind that campy 60s kind of, like, the original sort of part of it without the sort of moral philosophy. Like, I think the Spock episode where he goes back yesteryear is absolutely fantastic. It's like, I think it's everyone's favourite, like, TAS episode. Like, it's really
the Ichaya episode.
Yeah, and the one.
Yeah, that's a good one, that is.
That generally is like a really good episode of Star Trek, but yeah, there's a lot of mileage out of it. There's a lot of stupid things like, you know, okay, we only had one animation for this bat creature that we're going to fly at the people, and we are going to use it 400 times over the episode.
And one soundtrack sound effect that you're going to hear 50 times throughout the episode.
Yeah, there's obviously the budget constraints. There is a good little documentary on. I had as a special feature on the episodes that I have on the making of it, and it's interesting because it was all part of. It sort of spun out of the whole, we want to bring Trek back, but we can't bring a series back, so what do we do? And Gene Roddenberry sort of got approached by this animation studio, and they said, we'll do it. And my interesting little tidbit, which I think I mentioned before, but although Chekhov is not in it, Walt Koenig is not in the series, he does actually write an episode, very strangely.
Ah.
I forget which one, but he did.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like they couldn't afford the entire cast, so it's like one of them had to go.
They couldn't even afford separate voice actors. They got James Doohan and Major Roddenberry to do
Major Barrett.
Major Barrett, to do all
Major
this.
Roddenberry does every female, pretty much.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's obviously Chapel. She's Mores, what you want to say it.
Yeah. I still don't know. Yeah, well, it's like, and even characters that you know what they would sound like, like Koloth from the Triple episode. It's like, that's still Jimmy Doohan.
Yeah.
His American accent.
Yeah.
No, Taz is great. I like Taz. I like that we've got the Taz representations of Kirk and Spock in Lower Decks as well. When they're looking, it's like, those old scientists, and they look at after they've sort of gone and beat up Landry for the second time, and they go, those old scientists, and there's a picture of just animated Kirk and Spock. I like that in joke. That's very appealing. I'd see more of that. I'd see more animated stuff.
I like that they can do things with the animated series that they can't obviously do with the live action series. Like things like the personal shields. So when they land on a planet, they don't need EV suits. They just got a personal shield. Things like that. It's with the technology that they're supposed to have at that time, you'd think that's the kind of thing they would have. You wouldn't need a great big clunky spacesuit.
The first
kind of fits.
TAS. Sorry, go on, Walt.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I watched that episode recently, actually. And now you talk.
Yeah. There we go.
You're already a veteran. Love it.
I think that's a good point for us to. I think it's a good point to wrap up. It's been good chatting to you guys. Thank you, Walt and Cranky, for coming on last minute despite my pleas.
Awesome. I can go and eat my hobnobs now.
Wow.
I've been waiting to eat my hobnobs.
God, you lead a good life, didn't you? And you didn't bring enough for the rest of us. Any Fleet shout outs or personal shout outs you guys want to do since you're here?
Yay, some ghost.
Yes.
Well, I would like to take a minute to just recognize, and I'm sure when he comes back on, we'll go much deeper into this. But Automaton 2000 is in his third of four. Well, 3 out of the last 4 events, he is poised to win now.
He's unstoppable at the moment.
Incredibly unstoppable.
Yeah, it's like, so he's getting no rest. He's picked the event types where it's obviously he's always been Mr. Skirmish, and so he's won both of these, and now he's got a Galaxy win too. So it's just ones that So I guess we're.
I think you're on mute, Walt.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
But anyway, sorry. So if we get Walt back, then we can talk to him. But
just, can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Turn off the underwater filter. No, But no, to Otto, I mean, I know he's operating on very little rest, and I hope
Running on
that
fumes, one would say.
And yes, so I hope he's doing well, and I hope that we get him back very soon, and we can talk about all of the glories that he's just won for
yourself in
himself.
glory,
And
sir. Yes.
yes, so.
But yes, definitely. Thank you, Walt.
Since I'm here,
Go on, yeah, please.
I would like to say thank you to the Timelines Talks team. So Idle and Big, obviously, and Stars and Auto.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you do for the show, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
It's
It is a labour of love.
Thank you.
On that note, we won't be back on Wednesday because I am going and enjoying myself on holiday, apparently. So,
again.
Yes, again. Not the first time this has happened. Probably won't be the last, but there we go. I'm going to enjoy myself and fuck the rest of you. So there we are. But we will be back the following week with another Timelines Talks. Check our Discord and our event history. Obviously, we've got, as I announced on the Discord, we've got a Star Trek Adventure stream coming up early March. We've also got the Wicked Realm Games question and answer session with the developer. That's coming back up. WRG Ben's coming on. So please go into the Discord, submit your questions, which we'll vet and go through. We've also got our charity stream, which is returning April the 3rd, and we've got a few interesting things announced for that. Maybe there'll be a bit of a university challenge kind of trivia thing. If you've got a team in your fleet you want to apply, come and join in. Come check the schedule of that. We've also got a surprise guest announcement for that as well, which I will be revealing later on at some point. But yes, that'll be fun. Check out. But if not, we will see you in a few weeks. So I will probably stream some Star Trek Online at some point then as well, as I am whim to do. I'll put an announcement out and we'll do that. But yes, from myself, from Cranky, from Walt, from Big, for joining us this week for a chilled out. We will have another chilled out Trek stream. This has always been fun. Thank you guys for joining me. We will see you again soon. Ta-ra!
Red alarm, red alarm, red alarm.